with Table Talks. This is, I lost count. 4?
I think it's 4 or 5. Yeah.
4 or 5, yeah. So, I mean, we're happy to be back. We have new conversation coming up today, and we'll just let everyone connect.
There it is. I want to see the comments. Let's see if it shows me the comments. Okay, so we are excited to be back, and we're kind of rushing it, so we only have one bowl, which we will share, and it has strawberries, oranges, and
nuts and banana.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that is what we'll be sharing today for Table Talks, and the topic of today is friendships.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start with some questions. And I wanted to kind of start with this question, and I hope it doesn't get you like off guard, but what do you think about everything that's going on right now in the world? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. So
specifically with like the protests and like George Floyd situation.
Okay, so I mean, everyone is entitled to their personal opinion, mm-hmm. right? So obviously we are not here for controversial or anything, but since you did bring it up, I feel like, yes, we are called to raise our voice for those that cannot raise their voice, mm-hmm. but there is obviously a correct way to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was listening to the mayor talk, I believe it was Friday night or Saturday night. I don't remember when she talked, but I really liked something that she said, which was what in regards to what was happening in Atlanta. She said, what you guys are not, and I'm paraphrasing, mm-hmm. not saying exact word by word, but she was like, what you guys are doing is not the Martin Luther King spirit.
Yeah.
So I feel like he really left a good example for us, mm-hmm. and obviously I don't agree with like, police brutality and the taking advantage of authority, mm-hmm. especially because I went through it, mm-hmm. like I went through injustice and whatever people want to call it.
Yeah.
So yes, I do believe that we have the right to protest.
Yes.
I believe there's a right way though.
Yeah.
I believe there's a right way to do it. Like looting is, it's not like, it's more of a personal gain than a community gain, if that makes sense. So that is, like I said.
And by the way, guys, she's been in jail unrighteously. Like she was not supposed to be in jail, and she's been there because of unfairness.
Which is a topic that's coming up.
Yeah, that's a different Table Talks, but just so you guys know, she experienced that injustice. So that's coming from somebody that has experienced that firsthand. Right. So
yeah, and like someone that experiences firsthand, it's like I cannot say what was going on through, let's say for example, the judge's mind. Mm-hmm. Like I cannot say if it was racism because mm-hmm. I'm Hispanic, or I can't say if it was, for example, sexism because mm-hmm. I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what was going on through their mind, but I do feel,
or if he just didn't like you,
exactly, or if you like just went on based on emotion and not what had happened. Mm-hmm. So I cannot tell you exactly what happened through his mind, through his heart, whatever. Mm-hmm. There is injustice, unfortunately, in this world, but there is a correct way mm-hmm. to go through it, because obviously I'm not, because of what happened to me, I'm not gonna let him make my life bitter for the rest of my life, but I will stand up for myself. Like I fought my case later on and everything, although everything that had happened had already happened. Yeah. And no one can give me, those 3 days back. But there is a correct way to do it. And that's my personal opinion. Like, if you tell me, let's go protest in Atlanta right now, I would not go, because I don't feel like they're doing it in the correct way.
I agree.
If there was a different way,
I agree. I'm with you on that, and I'm sorry to kind of go into that topic, but it's what we're living right now, and what I kind of want to talk about, because it's important. And so it looks like our internet's a little unstable. Oh, we got back. Okay. Well, basically, like she said, I would protest too if people were doing it the correct way. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people doing it the wrong way. So I'm not trying to put myself in a position where I look like I'm doing what other people are doing incorrectly. But now, if everybody was doing it like Martin Luther King that way, I'll be right there. But unfortunately, like I said, there's a lot of people doing it the wrong way. They're harming businesses that have no fault in this. You know,
and businesses that are owned by minorities.
Exactly.
So they don't take that knowledge into consideration. So I believe if you're going to do something to bring a change, you have to do it with wisdom. You have to do it with knowledge. Like we understand. I feel like the people have the right heart, but the wrong actions.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so that was one of the questions that I wanted to do. But just second question, what do you think we can do to help the situation currently?
I feel like just throwing out there, not like, for example, not like riling people up, because like I say, unfortunately there is going to be injustice everywhere we go. Like even us as Hispanics, we go through it. You know, we go through it and everything. But we have to, raise our voice, and we have to inform others. What are you doing to make a change? Are you voting? And I know a lot of people don't believe in that stuff, but that's what we have in our hands right now.
Yeah, or some people they're not documented and they can't vote. Like, we get that.
Yeah. So it's like, it would be for example, my husband can't vote yet, right? Yet. It would be a waste of me not voting when I know that someone else that wants to vote can't vote.
Exactly.
So we have to take into consideration our rights as well. And protesting is one of our rights, but there is a correct way to do it. And we have to lead by example. I think that's the best way we can set a difference, is lead by example. We want to bring change to many different areas. It's not just racism that we're going through. It's many things that, our nation needs to change, but we have to lead by example.
Exactly. Yeah, so that was my 2 questions for today for you, Sarah. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that just because it's relevant right now.
Yeah.
So if we can go on to the topic for today, which is friendships.
Yes. So friendships is a very broad area that we can talk about. And I actually what came up with this, felt it that I should talk about it a couple weeks ago, because I always tell my husband, I feel like with guys, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like guys, it's a bit different, their friendships, because it's not easy for them to open up. It's not easy for them to have those heart to heart or open up with share their pain and etc. So I'm someone that I tell my husband, I want you to cultivate your friendships. If your friendships are not opening up, be the first one to take that step.
That's true.
Be the first one to open a conversation, and I know it might be awkward for them because they never do it. So it's going to be like, so Tony, how are you feeling about your feelings here? So it's I know it's it can be really awkward, but we have to cultivate friendships because God did not create us to be alone. Even in Genesis, you see how he created the woman for Adam, and all of that. And he said, it's not good for man to be alone. And I don't think that he was only talking about marriage, because you are edified by all your surroundings, not only your spouse. Your spouse is an incredible source of growth or even destruction, but everyone around you has an impact. And I want to talk about friendships because I feel like it's so important for our growth, whether it be spiritual growth, emotional growth, psychological growth, and all of the things that that friendships can help us. And one of the points that I want to bring is there are wrong friendships and right friendships. You have healthy friendships, you have toxic friendships, and you have to examine them and see what you're going to allow into your life. And the first thing that I'd like to mention is friendships are meant to edify you. And even in the Bible, it says in 1 Thessalonians 5:11, it says, therefore encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. So you have to build each other up in friendships. And this is and sometimes it can be so hard because we like to stay in our comfort zones, and we like to have, how can I say it, like top layer friendships. Like we don't like to go deeper.
Yeah, because that's where it can get a little
risky.
Yeah, risky with friendships.
Yes, yeah, and we have to. One of the things that I have noted is that friendships take work. Friendships is not something that you're gonna find like in 1 month or in 2 months, or it takes time to build friendships, because friendships take cultivation. And there are three things that I think are very important in a friendship, and which is being vulnerable, being intentional, and then allowing each other to grow. Because my first point was, friendships should edify. Your friendship is not going to be able to edify you if you are not vulnerable with them. So if like you're not telling them, hey, I'm struggling with this and this and that, what do you think? And sometimes, because we want to stay in our comfort zones, we don't ask for that opinion, because we're like, well, I know she's going to tell me what I'm doing is wrong. I don't want to listen to it. So we have to be vulnerable enough to come and say, this and this is going on, and this and that. And like you say, that's where the point where it can get risky. Yeah. Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure you and I have been in a place where we've had friendships and we've been like cultivating and everything, but out of nowhere, there's either betrayal, or, there's that lack of trust, or it's not reciprocal. Yeah. So it's like, I give you, but you're not giving me anything back. So yes, friendships are risky, but there's a treasure behind it. And I think like every single one of them is a lesson learned. Yeah. And another thing that I think friendships should be is friendships should be connected for the purpose of God, which is in, I brought the verse Ecclesiastes 4:9-12, 4:9-10, I mean. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. You and I think, have had our fair share of battles and tribulations. And I was even telling you 2 weeks ago, I was telling you that when I went through my process of, anxiety, depression, and all of that because of the injustice that happened, one thing that I regret doing or not doing in that time is that I didn't open up to people. I didn't open up to people because in my mind, I was embarrassed of what had happened to me, but it was because I didn't want to be vulnerable enough. And if I could go back in that time, I myself, because we have to examine ourselves, we have to be true to ourselves and say, okay, I passed this tribulation, but what could I have done differently? And I feel like I could have been more open to receive help from others. Yeah. Because I knew I needed the help. And, I did look for like professional help and everything, but you need your tribe around you. You need that tribe around you, because the word says that it's like, if you fall, then there's someone there to help you get back up. If I fall, then I have someone else to pick me up. And then another important thing that has to be in friendships is forgiveness, because we have to know that we are friends with human beings. We will make mistakes. Like me being vulnerable to you because, let's say, of your lack of experience, or let's say ignorance to my situation, or my ignorance to your situation, we can sometimes screw up, like
hurt each other.
Exactly. But we have to be intentional. Like we have to be vulnerable, and we know that we might get hurt, but we have to be intentional to grow. Yeah. And Proverbs 17:9 says, love prospers when a fault is forgiven. We all have faults. Yeah. I could tell you something in a way that is going to hurt you, or you could tell me in a tone that hurts me, whatever. And then it says, but dwelling on it separates close friends. When you dwell on something, it's like you keep on thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking over it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that forgive but don't forget kind of quote. It's like you have to forgive, and if you want to be intentional with your friendships, you have to eventually like forget it. And I'm not saying like in the toxic friendships, I'm saying in the healthy friendships where you know it wasn't intentional, and you see that, for example, I told you, hey Patty, you hurt my feelings, or you offended me when you said this and this and that. But I see that you're being intentional with me and saying, okay, you know what, Sarah, I could have said this in different words.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is a major one, because we are friends with human beings, and we will make mistakes. We have our faults, and the Bible says it, and love prospers when we forgive faults. So it's all about being vulnerable. It's all about being intentional to grow and being vulnerable to share each other's pain, because friendship, and these are things, you know, that I pray about. I'm like, God, I want to have friends that I can be vulnerable with, and that they can construct me, that they can edify me, that they can encourage me, but help me be that friend too. Like if I don't have that, let me be the first one to take that step. And I think that was because like I said, when I went through my process, one of the things that I regretted was not reaching out towards people. Like obviously I had my husband, I had our pastors, and I had my counselor that I would talk to. But looking back at it, I did need more help. Like I did need to let out things more, let air things out more, because I would have that feeling like I don't want to let it out all on my husband. So I'll keep this to myself and figure it out myself. So I'm like, that helped me when, for example, what happened with Maria, what happened with you, that helped me to be, I want to be on the front line of this. I want to be on the front line to help them if they need to talk, if they need to just know that we're there. Because you could say that I might never understand what you went through, but you will never understand what I went through. But we understand pain.
Yeah.
We understand pain, and that's where we can come together and meet together and be vulnerable, but be intentional with each other. And that's where growth comes. And then the last point would be like I mentioned at the beginning, there is good friendships and bad friendships. And you have to, and like I said, friendships are a treasure for life, because it's like there will be, for example, we're both pastors. Let's say we get separated in ministry, like you're called to a separate ministry and I'm called to a separate ministry. But we're going to know that we're there for each other, even though we're not seeing each other constantly or anything. But I know that if I'm battling with something, I can go back to you.
Yeah.
And those are the treasure that you have for all life. But how do you know when a friendship is not right? Or how do you know, for example, like when to let go of that friendship? And just to get a couple insight from you, what do you think? Or what would you say? How do you know it's the right time to let go of that friendship?
I think that just from my personal opinion and just my experiences, the time to let go of somebody is when you see that person doesn't want the better for you. Like somebody that just wants to see you fail, and they find pleasure in seeing you fail. That to me is a toxic friendship. Because a good friendship to me is somebody that wants to see you succeed, and there's just no there's no jealousy, there's no
envy.
There's no I want to be better than you, I want to put you down type. I think that is key in finding a good friendship. When somebody lifts you up, I think that is a very good friendship, or that wants to see you achieve things no matter what it may be. And I think that something, another factor to me that is very important is just having each other's back, even though that person is not there. So let's say I'm with a group of people and Sarah's not there, and they start talking bad things about Sarah or things that are not true about her. I have the responsibility as her friend to stand up respectfully about the comments they're saying, because otherwise I am being part of the negative comments they are saying. And then that can, if she ever gets to hear that was going on, that can betray the trust that she has given me. So I have to be a good friend in a way that I stand up for those that are close to me, and that I stand up for them, when they're not there. I think to me those are two important factors of a good friendship. When somebody wants to see you succeed, and there's no envy or anything, and somebody that protects your back.
Yeah.
So
and it's being like that, like being truthful to your face, but also being truthful behind your back.
Yeah.
So that's a bit, which is loyalty. You have to have loyalty in your friendships.
Yeah, there has to be.
Yeah, and I just feel like the right time to let go of friendships, it's when it starts to become draining. Because it's
that like, too. There's friendships that they just want you to hear them. They just want you to be there for them. But when it's time for you to, when you're needing somebody to be there, they're like, oh no, I'm too busy for you, or whatever. That's like that's like having a boyfriend or something. If you're in a relationship and that boyfriend never visits you except when he just wants to sleep with you, and so that's toxic. So it's the same thing with like friendships. There has to be a two-way street. Of course there's gonna be imperfections, mistakes and everything, but as long as the intention is there to be with each other, be there for each other, I think that's important.
Yeah, and like I said, it has to be reciprocated, because people can be draining. Like, it's like they want you to accommodate to their schedule, but when you need them to accommodate to your schedule, they don't want to.
Yeah.
And it's like also another thing is like, when you want to help someone get somewhere, like for example, let's say depression. Yeah. You want to help them with their depression. You're pouring out truth into their life and everything. But you start seeing that they don't want to get out of it. They start embracing that. They start, becoming it. So you're trying and trying and trying to pull them. That's where they want to be. Yeah. That's where they want to stay. And now they want to drag you into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, and even like Proverbs 17:22 says, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. So we all go through many things in life. Like, we go through many phases in life, but the purpose is not to stay in that phase. And friends are there to help you move forward. But once they start making you retreat, that's a moment where you have to examine, okay, well, is this really right? Like, does this person, like you said, does this person really want me to grow? Or are they wanting me to stay there where they are? And that's why I said at the beginning, it takes vulnerability. It takes being intentional. And you have to allow space for growth. Because you can grow in one area. But if I'm not growing in that area, then I could be the one stopping you by saying, hey, Patti, I don't think you should do this, this, and this, and this. But those are good things for you. So there's no space for you to grow. Or you might be having a dream of something, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's a good idea, or a right time, or a right place, or with the right people right now. But in your spirit, or God has confirmed it to you that you are in the right path. So there's no space for growth within that friendship. And that's when it starts becoming draining. It starts to become toxic. But those are the main things that, and like I said, friendships is a very broad conversation, but friendships should edify you. They should be connected with the purpose of God, and forgiveness has to always be involved, because they're there to construct. So be vulnerable with your friends, and if you don't have those friendships, start praying for them and start being the friend that you want to have. So it all takes, even what we were talking about at the beginning, like how do we make a difference in this world with everything that's happening? Be the example. Lead an example. So even with friendships, if you don't have that friendship that you've been asking for, you start being that friend, and then examine how the people, you know, that you're connected with and your inner circle and everything. And like I say, friendships take time. Like friendships are gonna take time and everything.
They do, yeah. And just going back to what you said about, you know, opening up when you have difficult moments with the right type of friendships, I think is very important, because like me, when I went through my anxiety attack, I remember that I closed up, and that was my downfall. I closed up and I was like, I can deal with this myself. And I really couldn't. And so it was not until I opened up that I was able to basically find healing for that, you know. And I think that it was something where God showed me, like, you can't fight on your own. You know, you need friendships, you need people around you that will help you. And so from that point on, I kind of was more open. And you know, when I went through my miscarriage back in February, I did something that I didn't normally do previously, and I opened up, you know, to friendships, and I let them know exactly how I was feeling, because I would always hide my emotions of how I was feeling exactly about the situation. But I was just like, I have learned from my anxiety attack back in September that I need to open up. So I just opened up. I was like, I'm just going to open up, because I have seen that is healing. Yeah. And so I opened up, and I found that during my miscarriage, it was tough for me, but it was easier because I had a circle of friends that were able to, you know, maybe all of them didn't go through it, but I can see and feel the intention of them trying to be there and trying to understand. So, you know, that was in itself something very helpful through that very difficult time, you know, just having people that care, you know, and opening up. And I think that nowadays a lot of people, you know, fall into suicide because they don't open up, because they don't speak out, you know, they don't have those right type of friendships. Maybe they've never had those right types of friendships because they haven't been a right type of friendship. Maybe they haven't themselves tried to be a friend, you know. But I would motivate you to, like, ask God if you don't have that right type of friendship, because he will bring them to you. And to just ask God to help you be a friend as well, because sometimes we like to just say what we want, but we don't like to look into ourselves and see what we need to work on before we receive something. So
yeah, I mean, friendships takes cultivation, definitely. So it's like, and fruits come out of it, but you can't be the only one to water it. You can't be the only one. I mean, the person that waters it is not the same person that gives it sunlight. No. So it takes different factors and aspects. And another thing, just to finish up, is open your circle as well. I don't really believe in just having one friend, because you get different types of constructism, like people construct you in different ways. So what you have to offer is not the same thing that my other friend has to offer. So do open your inner circle, but examine the heart to which you're going to open up to as well.
I also want to add something. There can also be friendships I've seen that when they see that you have other friends, they get jealous about that. Like, you know, let's say I'm, you know, me and Sarah, I start having other friends, and Sarah starts getting jealous, and it's like, why are you hanging out with them, or why are you whatever? That is a sign that person is not, like, they have some things to work with internally before they can continue that friendship walk. Because that's happened, and not to say that they're a bad friend, but they're just things that they need to resolve inside of them in order to be a good friend. So that's just something to keep in mind, because I've seen that too. And yeah, I mean, that's basically what we wanted to come on here to talk about. And we hope that this was helpful in one way or another. And yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, which, what date would that be?
Yeah, so if you guys even have topics you guys would like us to talk about, or just give our personal opinion or our experience or whatever we have to offer, then just let us know as well. So we're open to all of that.
Yeah, so January June 15 is our next table talks. So write it down, 6 p.m., 6 to 6:30. And we hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you.